Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Desk, and this time we're actually beyond the desk. So I'm your host, Rahul, also known as Roy. Today we've got a very special episode with you. We've got the head of people and culture, who's also an amazing leader, who also happens to be my manager. So
no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure, because this might actually affect my KPIs. So please watch this video, share it. And she's also a mother to two amazing children, Max and Nate. Welcome, Brooke.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
You like my intro?
You're pretty good.
Thank
I'll
you.
give you a high performing for that.
Yeah, so Brooke, I'd like to start from a story that a lot of people at Alaya might not know. So this is not your first time here, this is not your second time here as well, but you were here in Nepal quite early.
Yes, I was. This is actually my fourth time in Nepal, my third time since I've joined Alaya, or since we became Alaya. The first time I came to Nepal was when I was much younger than I am today. So I was 25 when I first came to Nepal, which was like 2 years ago. No, it was 15 years ago almost. And I was young and adventurous and decided I wanted to travel and I wanted to do some trekking. And being from New Zealand, coming to Nepal has always been kind of high on my list of places to go. So I came and did some trekking, travelled around on the local buses, ate the local food before heading to India for a couple of months.
Yeah. So you have like 15 years ago, and I think then relatively the last year you've been here in and out, right? What's the major difference you found from being here like 15 years ago? And 15 years ago, did you even imagine like you'd come back here in like this kind of capacity?
No. So two parts to your question, right? When I was 25, I'd had no real goal for myself in my career. You know, I didn't set out to become the head of people and culture in any organisation. I was just wanting to get whatever varied experiences I could and get different exposure and have different opportunities across different countries. Before I came to Nepal, I'm from New Zealand, so I actually left New Zealand, came to Nepal and India, and then moved to Australia. So this was kind of a stop on my journey. I never thought that I would, in 15 years' time, be back in Nepal in this role and be here for work. I think back then, Nepal was a very different type of, like Kathmandu was a very different type of place. Like there was cows everywhere. It was noisier than it is now, if that's possible. It's you know, there has been a lot of, some things have seen a lot of progress in that time, and then other things haven't changed at all, which is the beauty of Nepal, I think. But I certainly didn't expect that I would be back here in a work capacity. I think there's a lot of similarities in working styles. It's not necessarily the working styles piece, it's more underlying cultural values and expectations between Nepal, India and the Philippines, which I also spent a lot of time travelling to and working with our organisation there in a past employer. I think for Nepal there are some real differences with Australia, and neither one is better, it's just different. So what we've tried to do at Alaya is kind of leverage the best of Australian culture and the best of Nepalese culture. Now, I'm not an Australian. Right? I am a migrant to Australia myself, so I've had to make tweaks in terms of my style for an Australian environment, and then probably more dramatic tweaks when working in Nepal. I think there are a lot of things that Nepalese people do amazingly well. One of those is relationships, building relationships, maintaining relationships. That isn't quite at the forefront in a Western culture anymore, which is quite sad.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely beauty in both and challenge in both, and I think what we're trying to do at Alaya is leverage the best of both to make it an environment where, as an entire organisation, we can thrive.
Yeah, that's really good, and I think there's some parallels of like how we like Nepal gets sort of grouped up with India, like similar to how New Zealand would get grouped up with Australia, right?
Unless it's for a sports match,
Yeah.
like a sporting competition, in which
Okay.
case there is a very clear divide between Australia, New Zealand, and India and Nepal, I'm sure.
Yeah.
In some things, yes, like we were both colonised by the British, so there is that underlying kind of British attributes to both. I think New Zealand is clearly the far superior country. I'm just I'm a citizen of New Zealand still, so I am required to say that to keep my passport. New Zealand is, I would say, a more beautiful country than Australia. It reminds me of Nepal in some respects. I think New Zealand is just a little bit more laid back than Australia, or especially Sydney, where I live, is very corporate.
Yeah.
It's a massive city. I grew up in a city of 100,000 people, and I live in a city of millions of people.
Yeah.
So it's probably more the scale that's different than necessarily underlying cultural differences. I think I was influenced by the Indigenous people of New Zealand, which is the Maori people, versus Australia is still trying to grapple with the history with the First Nations people. So there are some differences, but there is a lot of similarities there.
Yeah.
I think it did, some things were very easy when moving to a new country, and other things were very challenging.
Yeah. So I think like a lot of similar parallels as to how it's pretty much faster paced. In Australia, things move like really quick, similar to I think India and Nepal as well, where presumably we're one of the most laid back in comparison. But I think even with the natural beauty and stuff like that, like the parallels, it's weirdly similar.
Yes. When we're looking at the stuff we have within our organisation, we've made a lot of progress in that area over the last 10 years, where staff are actively challenging the process, speaking up, looking for ways to improve things. And I didn't necessarily see that over a couple of years in India in the same way that I've seen that progress here in Nepal.
Yeah. I think it's definitely like an evolving talent pool as well, where now that we've got a lot of exposure and a lot of like international companies coming in, and that definitely plays a big part in shaping culture as well, right? And we also like briefly touched about, there's definitely different sort of dynamics when it comes to being a mom here versus being on there. I think while it does have its both pros and cons as well, definitely maybe on the family support, you get a little bit of cushion, but I think from an expectations point of view, it's kind of the opposite. So what message would you have to, working moms or women who are looking to start their family, but also on the verge of that career growth, right? Definitely from first-hand experience, it's really tough. But what advice would you give?
Yeah. I've heard that in Nepal there's a lot of pressure to have babies before you're 30, because, I don't know, I was told that you can't have kids after 30, right? I had my first child at 34 and my second at 36 or 37, I don't know, I've lost track. Work out what's important for you in your life. Travel, have experiences. Things are so much harder once you have kids. So live life, like have fun, be adventurous. and find someone who you want to do that with. And the challenge that I hear, and the really sad stories I hear from a lot of women here who are married, where there's a lot of pressure to be a certain type of daughter-in-law and to be a certain type of wife, and they may not necessarily align with how you want to see yourself or how you do see yourself. So I would say be overly selective about who you want to spend your life with, because I'd say it's not just a message for working mums or women wanting to, thinking about having kids or moving into leadership roles. There is a significant amount of change that needs to happen for men here as well, and I think women can't make a change without the men in their lives supporting them. It becomes very isolating here and very challenging, and it's easy for me to say, come on Roy, like be a better man, right? But there's really no incentive for men to change here, because when you're the beneficiary of something, there's less of an incentive to change. But women need it. Like your sisters, your wives, your cousins, your friends need your support. So I'd say for women, surround yourself with strong women who are amazing role models for you, but also surround yourself with male role models and friends who are advocates for you and advocates on your behalf. In terms of looking to move into a leadership role or thinking about starting a family, everyone has an opinion on everything you do, right? Doesn't matter where in the world you live, someone else will have an opinion that they try and turn into your reality. It's your life. Like, how and when you choose to have a family should be your choice. And if that means you want to delay having kids until you've gotten into that leadership role, or until you've had a certain type of varying experiences, until you've seen different things or had different opportunities, that should be your choice. You choose to start a family, when you choose to make a major life change, it should be your choice, and it should be something that you have a level of confidence and comfort in, because you only have one life, and how you live it is up to you. Now, I appreciate that it might be a bit easy for me saying that as someone who's not Nepalese, who hasn't grown up here with the expectations, not only of parents and grandparents, but of society as a whole. But if you look back on your life and you go, I only made decisions because that's what my parents wanted me to do, or what was expected of me, or what everybody else was doing at the time, you're choosing not to write your own story for yourself, and then a time may come where you regret that.
Thanks, Brooke. Again, very good advice.
Thank you.
Now, closing this off with just now reflecting on our transition from HLE Nepal to Alaya. That's similar to when you did first come to Nepal after your long break as well. So looking back, how do you feel the transition has been, right? And where do you see this going further, right?
I think when we launched the Alaya brand, there was a big bang, there was lots of noise, there was lots of activities and discussions and, gift merchandise and all of that kind of stuff. And over the last year, because we're coming up to almost a year of the new brand now, and I think we still have work to do in terms of truly embedding the brand within our organisation. I think there are elements of the new brand that people love and really resonate with. I think the heart underpinning heart value closely aligns with Nepalese culture, and I think our values have been something that people can really relate to. But the actual brand proposition of this is your place to thrive, it's your place to bring your true self to work, it's your place to have a long-lasting career, it's your place to realise your dreams, all of those things. There's only so much we as an organisation can do to make that a reality for
Yeah.
you. So I think there's also there is opportunity for us as an organisation, for sure, to continue with bringing the brand to life as a business. But I would also ask all of the people within Alaya, if this is truly your place, you have to be speaking up. You have to be actively involved in making it your place, because otherwise it's my place.
Yeah.
Right? So I would say there is still work to be done, not only at a people and culture team level, but organisational wide, for everyone to truly take part in making this your place.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks, Brooke, for that amazing conversation.
Thank you.
I hope you had fun.
I did.
Right. So if you're looking to be part of this amazing team with leaders like Brooke, please visit our careers page at alaya.co. Thank you.